When you think of Fisayo, you think of tech. When you think of storytelling, visual storytelling, you think of Koti. When you think of health, you think of Apoko Doctor. When you think of creators tips, creators creator, we think of Salem. Now, how could they strategically make sure that they were the go-to person in their industry as content creators? Here's how. Hey guys, welcome to Anything Content. My name is Naomi Salami, and today I'm going to be telling you some of the lessons I have learned so far from these creators I mentioned at the beginning of this video. From Salem, from Koti, from Apoko Doctor, from Fisaya, from Izzy, from... God, there are so many, and for some reason my head is blank. Anyway, these creators are not just influencers that just sprung out of nowhere. They create content based on their expertise in their field, and now anybody in Nigeria, except if you are living under a rock and you don't have a phone, whenever they think of these industry experts, they think of these creators. And this was very strategic. Now, these are some of the lessons I have learned from them and how I am putting them into practice and why. Number one, simplicity is key. I learned that from Apoko Doctor. Why? Whenever he comes online and posts a video, medical terms that will probably have you racking your brain, going to Google, going to ChatGPT, searching, he would break it down in the most simplest form that even someone that didn't go to school would be able to understand why this is bad, why you shouldn't do this, and what you should do going forward. Now you're an expert, you're an investment banker, you're a chef, you are a doctor, and you come online and you're giving us tips and you're throwing terminologies left, right, and center. I would scroll. First, let me not even go far. Let me not even mention any other person. I would scroll because these people can get this information by Googling. The internet is available to everybody, every Tom, Dick, and Harry, every Susan, Janet, and Abike. They can go to the internet, they can go to ChatGPT and check for this stuff. Coming to your page for that information should be as a result of you make it easy for us to understand. Your way of sharing information is very interesting. So simplicity is key. Something so simple that it's shareable. That's also what makes for a shareable content. Lesson number 2. They repeat stuff a lot. Repetition is important. You see how I would come on here and be like, think about your target audience. Content calendar template. I know that I've mentioned it in 2, 3, 4, 5 videos back, but I want it to stick. Now, these creators, they've maximized repetition to the point that when you think of certain phrases, when you think of certain words, when you think of certain topics, you think of them. If you're an avid Salem fan or follower, you eat up his tips like I do, you will notice that he would always, there's one thing he's known for, well, multiple things, but there's one that is always standard: repost your old content. Repost your content, and it would always say it, and it will show you why you should repost it, and it will show evidence of how he reposted one old content. And it doesn't just say it, he practicalizes it. He shows us example. You will see an old video of Salem when he was still doing black and white, and how he would still repost it. It's still relevant in this time. So repost your content, which is why I would always say create content that spans across time. And evergreen content, I have a video on that. I'm going to post that on here. Evergreen content. Try to make sure that your content is one that would last for a lifetime. That if you post that content that you created in 2015, 2015 is too far back. If you post that content that you created in 2023, it's still going to be relevant in 2030, and people would still relate to it and would still learn from it. If you think of Apoko Doctor, you would always mention that you should drink water. Yes, that's why even in topics that don't concern him, whenever you see water, they'll be like, who do you think of? Apoko Doctor. Because he would always mention that, oh, you guys should drink water, the benefits of just drinking water. Even though that sometimes wine, I hope he doesn't see this video, and at the same time I hope he does, but sir, if you ever see this video, sometimes the decision to choose wine and water is kind of a lot, but I understand you. Anyway, this just tell you that repetition is a big part of how they've built a strong following and community. And the last lesson: be the person that shares what they are thinking. Have you seen certain videos where you're like, oh my god, how did this person think this thing? Oh my god, it means that I've not had one original experience. And because of that, you start to relate to that creator. They Salem, Africa Doctor, Fisayo, Koti. Whenever you see some of their content, there would always be someone in the comments saying, oh my god, and I just thought about it the other day. That's because when that idea came to them or when that thought or opinion came to them, they didn't just keep it with them. They put it out there. For example, I think 2 weeks ago, I did a content. I was sleepy and I just put like a caption on the video talking about how if you ask me what my hobbies are, I would always mention sleeping. For someone that finds it hard to get like 1,000 views in a day, that takes like 2-3 days to get. But I got 2.6K views within 3-4 hours just because I said something relatable. And in my head, I'm like, oh my god, I should do this more often. I should post some of my feelings and opinions and thoughts on whether it's my topic or whether it's just what I'm thinking in that moment that someone could relate to. These creators, the successful creators, they've become so known for their crafts, they are experts, but they are also very relatable. So they've leveraged on relatability, and because of that, they don't just get a following that wants to know more about their expertise. They get a following, or they've grown a community that just relates to them and they like them for liking sake. All right, so these are some of the lessons I've learned from these creators. I'm going to do more than this. I'll probably do a part two because this is something I'm learning on the go and I'm trying to be better. I'm also putting it into practice and put it into practice. I'm changing the way I do my content. I'm trying to be more free. I'm trying to do a whole lot of things. So let's practice these lessons together. And I want our creator growth to be massive. Anyway, guys, I will see you in my next video. I hope my video has been engaging, entertaining, and informative, just the way I like it. Bye.